Hi, good morning. This is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. We have missed you guys. We have Jimmy on today. Tone is streaming from Riga still. You guys were, I believe both you guys were at the Honey Badger conference. So excited to hear about that. And we
No,
have
I wasn't there. I don't. I'm going to the other one, but only Tone was at the
Yeah,
Honey Badger. Yeah.
oh, in Prague. Okay. Okay.
Stay for Dean spoke. I don't know. It's getting confusing with all the carnivores now.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. That's true. And then Giacomo was there and a bunch of other people, and a lot of news was happening at the same time. So that is going to be exciting. But Jimmy, where are you? And how's everything been then?
I am in Austin. I'm basically finished writing the book. I have to write some code that's around it, and that's what I'm working on. But yeah, excited about the carnivory dinner that's happening in about 10 days, I think. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Prague and seeing you guys.
Nice. Actually, so I was just in Chicago last night, went to Lawry's. If you guys have ever heard of Lawry's, it's like if you guys know like the seasoning salt, that's where it started, like back like
Mm.
it was an amazing prime rib. Tone, how are you doing? I assume you're still carnivore.
I'm good, but Jimmy, Leah is not going to make it to Prague.
I will not
We'll
What?
be
make it to Prague.
us.
Why not?
I will be in Crypto Springs with Elizabeth Stark and the girls.
Yeah. I think Elena is managing to like fly overnight and coming straight, but
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I was trying to figure out a way to make that, but I really couldn't because of my travel schedule.
Quite far. Also, guys, we're missing Rodolfo today. I have his shirt. I am shilling. And also, I didn't think you gentlemen would get this color, which is actually pistachio. So I thought that I would be unique in that one. Everybody should get the pistachio one.
You should have asked us what that color is called
Um,
because I never would have guessed pistachio.
yeah.
I would have guessed like muted lime or something like that. Yeah.
It's my favorite gelato. All right, okay. We'll start this one. All right, so straight into it finally launched, which is Circle. Everybody likes saying that this is the Goldman Sachs back, but yes, a lot of other VCs and other companies have backed this as well. But their stable coin is now trading, which is the USD coin, so USDC. And it's pegged to the United States dollar was like the big news at the time. So, also just to note, because it's going to lead into our next story, is that so with that announcement, it was that they did also raise, right, 110 million to support the project, but Bitmain actually led that investment round. I remember that today. So that'll be funny. But Jimmy, what did you think about finally? You've studied a lot about stable coins. We've been talking about them recently. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think stable coins are really that worthwhile. They're either fully backed, in which case you have a lot of, like a regulator can choke it anytime they want, um, or they're not fully backed, in which case, like you're going to like the coin is going to fluctuate in value, or there's going to be some sort of you're vulnerable to black swan events or something like that, in which case it's not really worth a dollar. So I still don't think stable coins really work. And why would you want like the crypto equivalent of the US dollar? The whole point is so that you can control your own money. If it's some sort of stable coin, quote unquote, it's going to inflate the same way as the dollar. The whole point is to not have that. Now, I mean, people are saying, oh, this is great for traders because now you can have liquidity between exchanges and all this other stuff. But I mean, like, I think that's not really what the long-term prop is. Maybe it's useful to a few traders that are arbitraging between exchanges or something like that. But that's a tiny volume compared to the people that are actually holding. They're the ones that give the Bitcoin, give Bitcoin their support. With the US dollar trying to be stable and all that stuff. I mean, it's inflating away, guys. I don't see the value prop here, at least long term. Maybe short term it has some value, but I just don't see it.
Thanks, Jimmy. Tone, what are your thoughts on the piece? And you think this is going to be better than your favorite, Tether?
Uh, I don't think it's going to be better. It's going to be exactly the same. And I agree with Jimmy. Like there's nothing there. I don't understand why the world is going crazy over these stable coins. It's just the US dollar, people. It's a US dollar that is getting around the jurisdiction of the US dollar. Like it's the weirdest thing ever when it's being made by a US company like Circle. Like it's just like, I don't know, either the people at Circle just like don't understand anything, or they think that we don't understand anything, right? Like Circle, you are an American company. You can hold people's dollars. You should be able to move people's dollars. If people are too lazy to put their money into Bitcoin and move it from your exchange to another exchange, you should be able to do that with US dollars. Now, the only useful thing here is if you actually want to transfer your money from one exchange to another exchange, and you don't want to do it in Bitcoin, but because you think the price of Bitcoin is going to fall while you're moving your coins from one exchange to another exchange. So you put them into a stable coin and you move the stable coin, assuming the stable coin is accepted on the other exchange, right? Now that Poloniex has its own stable coin and Tether is its own stable coin from Bitfinex, is Circle going to start still accepting Tether? And is Bitfinex going to start accepting USDC, right? And if you want something for people to trade against the dollar, you don't need, I mean, like, by the way, I don't even know if this thing even has, like, what blockchain is this thing built on top of? Oh, it's an ERC20. It's on top of Ethereum. Like, this is just dumb. It's just the dumbest thing ever. I mean, it makes no sense from a regulatory point of view. It makes no sense from a technological point of view. Hey, if people are willing to pay for stupid, then let them. Obviously, Circle doesn't want to give people segregated fiat accounts, so they're giving it to them in this unsecured, made up, token. Like, it's not a cryptocurrency by any means.
Yeah, and it actually says at the bottom here that Circle's going to charge 0.1% to redeem the USDC tokens for dollars.
That makes sense. The only reason I've said this, the only reason to make a stable coin is to profit from managing the stable coin.
Yeah, I agree. All right, back to their biggest backer, who has finally opened their books to this IPO that everybody's been talking about in Hong Kong. So this is interesting, and actually the prospectus is listed, which finally, right, at least it lets us quantify the financial impacts of all their mistakes, that they've been losing lots of money on production costs for the mining chips that's failed, that that they're dependent on their cash positions, incurred net losses, on and on and on. Very interesting, but this will be a big cash infusion for sure. Tone, what do you think that they're very close now to this IPO?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing they're having a little bit of a struggle, but I think it's a good thing that they're going to go IPO. Let them cash out, let Jihan cash out. And a lot of companies, they relax and they don't take it as seriously once they IPO. A lot of companies see the IPO as a cash out. Just like an ICO being listed on an exchange is a cash out for the early investors, so is an IPO. So, and this is why a lot of companies go IPO when they start to lose their competitive advantage and a lot of the easy money has been made. Now, that's not true for all companies. Like Amazon going IPO was certainly not this kind of instance, but but other like one-hit wonders, like Fitbit and GoPro, even though GoPro is doing fairly well. There are a lot of these one-hit wonders. You go IPO. Now, I'm basically curious in their Bcash position. I haven't had a chance to read that document, but it's good. I mean, transparency is good. And a lot of the miners in the entire world hate Bitmain, not because they're better, but because of their, uncooperative practices, not only with other miners, but with the crypto space in general. Like Bitmain just doesn't want to cooperate with anyone. And a lot of miners don't like that. And also speaking to Alex Petrov and him speaking publicly, he says that Bitmain losing their main chip designer is a really big deal. Chip designers don't exactly grow on trees, right? It's like losing the top nuclear scientist. Again, like they're not exactly replaceable. So we'll see what that means. But they did lose their chip designer.
Interesting. Thanks, Tone. Jimmy, what were your thoughts? And as a follow-up to what Tone is saying, right, there has been a lot of innovations with competitors. However, with this amount of money, should those competitors go back to worrying that competitive advantage that they're trying to make is going to slowly disappear?
Well, so two things. First, it's Bitmain has had a lead for a very long time. So, in crypto terms, like 2015, 2016, 2017, they were pretty much the dominant player. And I think Tone's right. This is a way to basically unload this sucker because they all the backers of Bitmain basically want a liquidity event. IPOs have become basically liquidity events. It used to be that it was a way to get more investment and use that towards building an even bigger business. But over the past 15 years or so, it's become such that VCs can supply that money in a series D, E, F, G, H, whatever. So this is a way to sort of given out to all of the backers of Bitmain at this point, and I think that's the idea. That said, this prospectus has some problems, and one of them is that they are not marking to market their digital assets. Their accounting practice is very, very shady, and from what I've read, it's basically that they are marked like whatever price they bought the Bcash at, they are keeping that on the books instead of what it's trading for right now. Same with Dash and Monero and all these other coins. So they've inflated the actual revenue that they've gotten instead, and that makes their books look a lot better. So, for example, they made about $2 billion last year, according to this prospectus, and have made about $2 billion in the first half of this year. Now, couple of weird things. Why are they doing it by half year? Almost always every prospectus does it by quarter. So something happened in the second, in Q2 of this year. They're probably not going to publish anything about Q3 before this IPO goes public. So they're hiding something. We don't know exactly what it is. And the past year, 2017, they did well, but again, like the accounting's very not against good general accounting practices. I think GAAP is what it's called. So I'm very skeptical, and I think a lot of the market is also skeptical because of that. And they're wondering, okay, what are they trying to hide and what are they trying to dump on the market? There's probably still enough demand for sort of things that represent Bitcoin or something similar in the stock market that this will do okay, I think. But this just sounds straight up shady, especially they bought BCH right at the peak. They were buying at 0.375.
Well, they probably caused that pump. They probably caused that. BCH was falling to point. They were just above 0.05, and then suddenly, for no reason, they went to 0.3. Yeah. And I have to assume that was Bitmain.
Yeah, I think that's correct because if you look at their investor deck, that's another weird thing. They raised a bunch of money right before this from a bunch of investors. I don't know if that round went through or not. I'll have to go and ask around to find out. But they raised a bunch of money right before this, and that makes you wonder: are they preparing just in case the IPO doesn't go through, or is this a way to cash out with even more money? I don't really understand.
I think they're going to cash out. I think you're going to see all of the important people start to leave so that when the emperor has no close of these speculative trading is revealed, there's nobody around this company. They could be retroactively, people might go after them retroactively, but whatever this stock opens, it's a monster short.
Yeah, I mean, this happens in public markets all the time, especially with certain stocks where, they'll bring it to the public as a way to cash out because they've stripped it of all of the good stuff that would have been there. We know, for example, that at least one very important chip designer left and created WhatsMiner, which gets better performance than the Antminer S9s, which is a few years old at this point. So I don't know. Maybe they lost their secret sauce. They used to be very, very good at producing ASICs, but they've slowed down. They haven't released anything since the S9. I had believed that they had a miner in their bag that they weren't releasing. But like if they're going IPO and they haven't released anything, like this is the time to go and pump your stock is right before you IPO. So with some sort of like product release. So yeah, I don't know. Something just seems very off with Bitmain. I don't know what it is, but there's enough shady things going on that I would not be doing anything with this IPO.
Thanks, Jimmy. And very interesting points. I completely agree with you guys. Again, I don't know what Tone's doing. Is that, yeah. Yes, Tone, what are your thoughts?
Oh, no, that's it. I pretty much had them.
You're twirling something. She's getting confused by that.
Oh.
I thought you were like raising your hands. I guess just before moving on, I do completely agree with you guys. An IPO absolutely is, to raise capital. The question is, with all their shadiness that has been pointing on that, absolutely with the Bcash, why are shareholders pushing this one? And absolutely, who's going to cash out from it? They're incorporated in the Cayman Islands. It's awkward in the prospectus. It doesn't actually like totally lay out what's Bcash versus what else they're holding. I mean, they've been shady for a while, so we'll probably see why, and maybe these investors do just want to exit. That would be very interesting. Okay. Drivechain. Now this I don't understand at all. Jimmy, please explain what Drivechain is. What is going on here?
Yeah, so this is a sidechains project that Paul Stork has been working on for, I don't know, it seems like 4 years now. But he's finally released it on testnet. One of the things about sidechains is that you really can't stop it. It's entirely voluntary, but it's a second layer. There's a lot of interesting things about it. You can basically make it a way to do different types of transactions, and you can have different features on a sidechain. And this is something that I've talked to Paul about on my show before. It's something that he's written about. The fact that it's actually out on testnet is pretty exciting. We'll have to see exactly what will happen. One of the things that he's promoting here is that it's easy enough to load onto other Bitcoin forks, which I find kind of like, okay, I guess that's something. I mean, there's no real demand for this stuff in a lot of these, but I guess that could be it. But the main implication is that you could bring the technology of any altcoin almost into Bitcoin via sidechains with something like Drivechains. Now, is this going to work? I don't know. Is this something that people find useful? I don't know. But it's a cool tech. I think there's a lot of potential for it, especially with respect to Lightning and submarine swaps and having multiple layers of different security models, and utilizing that as a way to reduce on-chain transactions. But we'll see. We'll see.
Thanks, Jimmy. And Tone, your excitement about what is now up on the testnet?
Yeah, not really. But doesn't this require like a soft fork?
Not necessarily. You could do it without a soft fork. You could do it with a soft fork. I mean, like I think Liquid, which is run by Blockstream, runs without any soft fork whatsoever. But it's a federated security model instead of, proof of work security model. This one.
So is this model pretty much merge mined? Like how does it work?
Yep. It's a merge mined security model, and that's I mean, it's voluntary, so you don't have to put it in there if you don't want to.
So the miners are what? They're not are the miners still collecting a traditional mining fee, or are they only getting the fees from the merge mining?
They get so they get the normal Bitcoin reward plus Bitcoin fees plus any transaction fees from the sidechain.
Jim, just a question from the live chat. Would sidechains lessen Bitcoin security, making different and more avenues of attack?
I don't believe so. I mean, Peter Todd has a whole thing about merge mining, and he and Paul argue about it all the time. And you know, there are people on different sides of this issue, but I haven't seen a very like a completely convincing argument that says that this actually lessens the security significantly. I mean, it's voluntary. You can't stop a miner from merge mining. Like that's something. If they want to merge mine, they can, and they have, and I believe at least some of them still merge mine with Namecoin even. So it's not something you can necessarily stop. And you know, from a security standpoint, as long as there are miners that are not merge mining, then you know, like it just means slower blocks, I guess.
Thanks, Jimmy. And Tone, you were going to ask a question.
No, that's it. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. So is Rootstock going to be built on top of this thing? Like what's their plan? Do you know?
It's possible. I think Paul's trying to court them and get them to use something like Drivechains. But I mean, like there are multiple sidechain models. Like Elements is a federated model, and this one is a merge mine model. There are even other ones that you can think of. That the entire idea of sidechains is very, very flexible. So, you know, depending on what security model you want, you know, that's what you're going to go with. I will say though that this is probably closer to Bitcoin's security model than almost anything else, any other second layer that I've heard of. And that includes Lightning. Lightning has a very different security model because you have to keep a private key online and such. This one like works more traditionally like Bitcoin on the sidechain, and you know you can add features and so on. I'm hoping that this becomes sort of like the hub of innovation, and you know, like anyone that inserts Bitcoins into the sidechain, you're taking on the risk of that sidechain. But it's, again, voluntary. So that's a good thing.
Interesting. Yep. Tone.
Right. No, we'll see how it goes. It's just in beta, and we'll keep an eye on it.
I wouldn't even say beta. I'd say it's alpha. It's like literally
it's
the first release.
It's in testnet. So it's like on beta testnet.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, on to the Bitcoin core bug, the biggest FUD. Jimmy, you released it this morning, I believe. Please demystify, tell us about the article and what happened.
Yeah. So I did a really long deep dive into exactly what happened and what caused this bug. I had to trace it all the way back to like Bitcoin 0.1. But in this article, I basically talk about what happened, how the bug happened, and why it happened, and so on. If you scroll down a little bit, you know, like I describe what a double spend is, what the actual conditions under which this bug could be manifest. Basically, you need to be a miner and you need to create a very particular type of transaction. And you know, like I go as you go down and scroll down a little more. There's code from 0.1 that does the actual double spend checking. This is from 2009, right? Like this is like the original client. And you know, I tried to make it clear. Okay, here's where you check for conflicts. Here's where you mark an out point or a UTXO as spent. And then if that conflicts, it throws back an error, and then you know, like basically the block gets rejected. And then this pull request 443. This is from Matt Corallo's change back in 2011, which added this, which made the whole thing kind of redundant. Like there were two checks at the block level, and then PR 2224 in 2013. I believe that one was by Peter Woolley, and he wanted to make a distinction between consensus bugs versus system bugs. So he changed this to an assert. And I explain exactly why that happened. And then after that, there was PR 9097, which actually is the presenting bug, the one that actually caused the bug. And that was introduced in 2017 with the release of 0.14. And I go through, the actual change, which basically took this out at the block level. And then I go through why that caused a denial of service vulnerability. It's because that assert that was once a system check now became a consensus check. And then there's an IRC log that Greg Maxwell told me about that goes through exactly what the developers were thinking. They only look back at the first pull request 443 instead of 2224, which made them think, oh, okay, well, this one's redundant anyway, so we can skip it for this particular case. And that wasn't true, unfortunately. And that predisposed them to sort of review it less closely than they should have. And that caused the denial of service vulnerability that existed in 0.14. And then I go through sort of the game theory behind that. It's more inconvenience than anything else. The real kicker was the 0.15 stuff, where there was a lot of refactoring around UTXOs that I believe Peter Woolley did in PR 10195. And then, there was an assert put back. So there was also a denial of service vulnerability. But basically, there was a way to inflate it, but only for 0.15 to 0.16.x. And then I go through sort of the game theory behind exactly how you can exploit this. And I came to the conclusion that it would have been very, very risky for an attacker, because the only real way to do it is to short it somewhere, like maybe on a futures exchange or something, and then hope that the price goes down as a result of you doing something bad. And that's not always the case. I mean, we saw in 2013 with the Silk Road and stuff, a lot of people thought that would be the end of Bitcoin, and that would cause the price to crash.
That wasn't the only thing. In 2013, the Mike Hearn hard fork did not drop the price. The price kept going up.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like a lot of people are saying, well, you could have just shorted her on CME and then exploited this. So that's a very dicey situation.
No, it's a very risky and it's a very stupid trade, especially in Bitcoin. And I don't know, do you have anything more to say, Jimmy, or?
Well, that's basically what I was going to say, is that it's kind of stupid to try that. And generally, you have to think from the perspective of the attacker. They're already taking a lot of risk by attacking. They want to minimize all the other risks. And if you have a trading risk where you might lose your shirt because because the price goes against what you actually thought it would, that's not something that most people will do. And the people that have the kind of money that's required to exploit this, just it's not, the game theory just isn't there. So I don't think it was as severe as a lot of people are making it out to be. And that's basically what I'm saying in this article.
Yeah. So wasn't Matt Corello 15 years old in 2011? He's young.
Yeah, he was. No, but I mean, the 2011 pull request was very legit. I
know. Yeah. But you said Matt Corello in 2011. I mean, he must have been in high school.
I don't know. He probably, I know his first PR was when he was 18. So he might have been 18, 19, 20. Right. That's the oldest that he could have been is 20.
So I talked about this the other day on my pricing channel, because people were very people couldn't understand why, when the bug was during the 24 to 48 hours that the bug was all over the news, the price of Bitcoin was rising and people couldn't understand why that was. And I tried to explain it to them, right? And this is where the Bcash people just don't get it. I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to continue to say it. If you believe in Bcash or alternate blockchains, you are either a deliberate scammer or you're not very bright. And here's why. Because a developer, and I've worked with developers my entire career. So I may not be a developer anymore, but I've certainly have my experience. A developer over time has a certain reputation. You just heard us discuss Matt Corallo programming, and that's when we know he was. He was probably thinking about this stuff and programming this stuff when he actually was in high school. So a developer like Matt Corallo has earned a certain reputation. And no developer is perfect. But when a bug like this is found in Bitcoin, it only strengthens Bitcoin that the bug has been fixed. It doesn't weaken Bitcoin. When a developer that has earned a very specific reputation, that developer realizing that he's not perfect and he can make a bug every now and then, as long as that bug doesn't destroy the whole project completely, that doesn't necessarily make that developer lose his credibility. In fact, if it's the first time he had that bug, it can actually raise his credibility because maybe people will now see him as an amazing developer that will now be even more diligent because of this little thing, okay? So when it comes to a developer with a reputation that he has earned, that developer not being perfect once or occasionally does not hurt that developer's credibility. On the flip side, if you have developers that have already been deemed incompetent, they have to be absolutely perfect because any kind of little thing that goes wrong, they're already labeled incompetent. They're going to be completely destroyed, right? And this is what happens when you are a shitcoin developer. You are already labeled incompetent by default, basically. So you need to be absolutely perfect. So this is why finding bugs in shitcoins is not like finding bugs in Bitcoin. They're not the same thing. They're not equal. A Bitcoin developer like Matt Corallo would have to make about, I don't know, 6 of these kinds of bugs over the next 2 years for him to lose this kind of his credibility. While on the flip side, a Bcash developer can find like 3 or 4 of these bugs in Bitcoin and still be questioned as to why the hell is he programming a scam coin. They're not equal. They're not the same thing to all of you believers in shitcoins.
Jimmy, what are your thoughts as a follow-up?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely it wasn't. I don't think you should really lay it on Matt. It was more a process failure because he coded the actual pull request, but there were a lot of devs that probably should have gone and looked at the code that was.
No, I'm not laying it on Matt. I'm just saying that, like, assuming that the Bcash people are laying it on Matt. I mean, I understand. Like I said, I've worked with developers my whole life. If anything, if you ask me right now, I have more confidence in Matt today as a Bitcoin developer than I did, let's say, 2 months ago, because now even he's going to be a little more diligent about people checking his own work as well, right? So I have my confidence in Matt has only gone up, but people don't see it the way I see it. But I've been working with developers my whole life.
Yeah, it was a process failure. Basically that IRC chat log I think is kind of illustrative. They were trying to figure out, okay, why is this code there? And then like Peter finds like pull request 443. They talk about it and they go, oh yeah, that's right. It was because they didn't want mempool transactions that were invalid to get relayed. So they were like, okay, well. That's and like I remember it was redundant with this function called check inputs. It should be fine. Like let's speed up blocks. And that was the main motivation. There was that we were getting SegWit, and because the blocks were going to be larger, they wanted to make sure that the validation wasn't going to take too long. So trying to shave off millisecond here, millisecond there, that sort of thing. But anyway, like this was a confluence of weird events, and this is how you get better, and it's I think Greg Maxwell said something like, "This is the first time a non-core dev found a bug like this," and I think that's that speaks to how long it's taken for other developers to even get to the point where they can even report a bug like this.
Right, and it's only gonna get harder to do, like going forward, right? This isn't like the start of these things. And so people in the troll box are asking about my programming skills. The first language I learned was C++. I've programmed in C++. I've also programmed in R. I've programmed in Mathematica. I've programmed in Math.
I mean, don't play that game, Tone. Like, I mean, like they're asking for your credentials or something like that, right? Like, it's
no,
like,
I'm just saying what language I've programmed in. I've never programmed in C#. I've programmed in .NET. And that was a very good VBA. Excel VBA was my absolute best language for my coding ability.
Thank you, Tone. I'm going to move to the weather report. I'll say that I am the worst coder in the world. Jimmy tried to help me with learning Python, and I thought I'd be a snake charmer, and I cannot code a line. I will totally admit to that one. So, the weather report, Jimmy, please.
Well, it looks like there's a lot more transactions today for some reason. It used to be very much in the 0 to 5 range for everything. Not sure what view you're looking at. It used to it's the colors are all off. I'm not sure if they changed it or something. But anyway, it looks like as usual, there's a lot more transactions like that come in at around 9 a.m. These are batch transactions from exchanges and so on. So right now it's a little bit expensive. It looks like 40 to 50 Satoshi per byte if you want to get it in the next block. But if you're willing to wait a while, I'm sure you can get it in for 1 or 2. You can see all of them clearing starting at around 5 p.m. They just clear every time. So it's not a problem. It's very, you just have to have a low time preference. The high time preference people, they're the ones that are paying through the nose. So, and that's true of life. That's true in Bitcoin too, in any market process.
Thanks, Jimmy. And before we go to TA, any announcements and other updates?
Can you pull up the Carnivory dinner page?
I would love to, but I don't have a link. So, Tone,
but I'll pull it up. I got screen share. There you go.
There we go.
Your screen share. Oh, yay, there it is. All right. So yeah, this is going to be on Sunday, October 7th. I think that's like 10 days away, something like that. What's today? The 27th, something like that. So that's like 10 days away. Would love to see you guys. The best part of a conference without the stupid ICO pitches or booths or, like boring regulatory talks or something like that. This is much more about connecting with other Bitcoiners. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
All right, thanks guys. And that's taking place as part of the Hackers Congress. Here we go. There is Jimmy and myself. We're right there. Peter Todd will be there as well. So is Giacomo.
I don't think Cody's going to be there. I'm just guessing.
Cody's not going to make it. But
I think Nasib Taleb is actually going to Skype in or something like that.
Yeah, he's going to Skype in, I think.
Now?
What's that?
What?
Saifedean's listed. He's coming now?
He's also, so. I thought he was Skyping in, but I don't know.
No, he Skyped into the Honey Badger. It's like everybody's confusing Honey Badger with this event, including myself and Leah and all of us, right? So like these events are too close to each other with very similar speakers, and it just starts to get confusing. But it looks like Saifedean is going to be there in person.
Nice.
Okay, I thought the agenda said he's going to do it through Skype, but maybe not.
Well, like I said, that's what happened here at Honey Badger. Let's check with Saifedean because he should probably be at the Carnivory dinner.
Yeah, if he's coming, then he'll have we'll definitely have him there. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm also having my workshop right afterwards in the same space. I think it's Parallelis. I can't.
Parallelis Police.
Yeah. Whatever it is. I'm going to hold my seminar there. Bunch of people signed up. So yeah, give it a shot. If you're interested in learning about Bitcoin and contributing to this space, that's something that you can do by signing up for my seminar.
Awesome.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, Jimmy, we're gonna let you go.
All right, thank you. I will be saying this song is done.
See you, Jimmy. Thanks.
Jimmy. And speaking of seminars and workshops, mine are coming up. I'm off to Amsterdam tomorrow. There are 6 seats left on Saturday. Sunday is all sold out. Amsterdam is really hot for my workshops. Chiang Mai is starting to sell out, guys. Get on that one. Singapore still has some seats. That one isn't for a month from now. And Australia, actually, Sydney, did sell out, which is why I have added another day in Sydney, because that one is not till a month and a half from now, if not closer to 2 months. So go ahead and check those out. And once again, if you like my work and you like the work of the people on this channel, please support by using the affiliate links if you happen to need or want any of these products or services. I just added a way for people to buy Bitcoin with credit cards. Not all jurisdictions are accepted based on the laws of those jurisdictions, but they have insanely high limits. And there you go. What's important thing to me is I'm putting companies that I'm somewhat, that I kind of like. So people are like, oh, how come you don't have Coinbase? Well, because I don't like Coinbase. So there you go. So go ahead and check those out. All right, price. I did price this morning. Not much has changed. Not going to look at the monthly chart, really. It's still morning time. The monthly chart is still bearish. I got to fix these moving averages. And so, yeah, you're still like, it's identical. Like the month of September is pretty much identical to the month of August. I mean, we're moving even slower now. So if we're moving slower, does this mean the bear market is going to last longer? I don't know, but we'll find out. I'm 3 episodes behind on Hyperwave. Let me not talk about Hyperwave. I'll gotta review Tyler's videos. Nothing's really changing on the Bollinger Bands, on the stop and reverse points. This is my bread and butter chart. This is my absolute chart that is probably most critical. This is the descending triangle on Bitcoin Weekly. And we are coming to a point, we are coming to a point fairly quickly. And let's see what happens. We can go as high as 6,900. We can go as low as 6,200 and still stay within the triangle. But once a red 2 crosses below a red 1, it's probably going to be trouble. It happened recently, a red 2 and below a red 1, but then it bounced back up. If it happens again, if a red 2 goes below red 1, it bounces back up, it should bounce significantly smaller this time around. So just be careful with that one. Let's move on to the daily. The daily is on a red 3. The red 3 is not yet below a red 2. So watch out tomorrow if a red 4 goes below a red 3. And then trouble could set in. So that's pretty much the daily. Right now, the daily is on a no trade, but it certainly has a bearish bias. The 12-hour is also on it's on a no trade with a bullish bias, but because the daily is on a no trade with a bearish bias, the daily takes precedent over the 12-hour. The 12-hour, you had a green 2 go above a green 1 ever so slightly. I would not be comfortable in this bullish trade. I would wait for the price to go above 6,700 before I got comfortable with the bullish trade. The 4-hour was bearish and now on a price flip. So the 4-hour right now is in a no trade. And it looks like it's being held by the moving average, but I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that. So again, you're in a no trade zone right now. Just wait. Just be patient. The 1-hour had a bullish bias. The last hour has not been very good. And I would be very careful here. Like Bitcoin is really not looking good. Yeah, I'm hoping to like pay for my venue in Vegas and start, paying people for the conference work now, because I think it's going to cost me a lot more money over the next few months. So I want to spend it now while the price of Bitcoin is still relatively high. Ethereum, again, is on a 9. The rebound already taken place. Probably too late to go long Ethereum off the 9, but I would be cautious here. I'd wait for a red 2 to go below a red 3. Haven't looked at the daily Ethereum in a while. And it did bounce off of some 13s. The daily Ethereum is on a no trade. It's on a red 3 that did not go below red 2, so maybe tomorrow. Let's go back to the weekly there. Oh, wow, the stock market opened strong because I looked at it this morning. Well, my morning would have been middle of the night in New York. So this is a very strong day in the stock market. This is a very good sign. I've been cautious the stock market because there was a 9, and I warned about this 9, and then I warned for a 1 to 4 candle correction, and it looks like that correction is over. You still want to wait. You want this to close in the above 29.20. You want to see a price flip tomorrow. You then want to see a green 2 above a green 1 in the vicinity of the top of the 8 candle. And then the stock market becomes once again a raging bull. And I want to say the same thing about Bitcoin, but I can't because Bitcoin is in the opposite position. So I am looking at to be bullish right now. The S&P is still on a no trade. Be patient and pick it up above the closing price of last week's candle. And this makes sense. Gold is now officially back bearish. I wanted to see gold have a little more of a dead cat bounce, but this is very ugly. I did not even know this. I've been talking crap about gold for an unreasonably long period of time. And look what you're seeing here. You are seeing a brand new weekly closing low, the lowest closing low since 2016. I'm cheating a little bit. It was like middle of December 2016. Oh, no, wait, January right here, right? So this is the lowest closing low since January 2017, right? So we're talking a year and a half. This is bearish, guys. This is absolutely bearish. Gold is in serious trouble to go below $1,000. I think gold will go below $1,000. I have been saying gold will go below $1,000 years ago, and I was disappointed that I was wrong for a little while there, for like 3 years. And it looks like I'm back to my sub $1,000 prediction point because I just can't see any bullishness in gold. Fundamentals once again become irrelevant. Hey, Leah, are you still with me?
Yep.
Okay, I got an internet notification here. Yeah, this is not good. And the closer we get to 1135, the more dangerous this becomes. So gold's looking really bad. I wonder how silver is. Yep, silver has lost all of its momentum as well. But unlike gold, silver is not reaching new yearly lows. So silver is a little bit more bullish than gold, but still pretty bad. I was hoping the dead cat bounce in silver would take us to the bottom of the triangle, but it looks like it might be over. I think silver is headed down to $10 and gold is heading down to below 1,000. And the gold Apple stock has broken out of the triangle with the bullishness in the stock market. So my outlook on Apple being bearish is over. This is what happens. You broke outside of the expected direction of the triangle. So now my $15 target is to the upside. You had a green 3 above a green 2. You now have a green 4 above a green 3. I am now going bullish Apple instead of bearish Apple. However, it's still a red 1 price flip. So you can either be cautious and wait for a weekly one and then a weekly two above a one. But at this point, I think Apple is bullish, but earnings is coming. Earnings is coming on when? The 5th of November. So you got about a month and a half. So plan your trades accordingly. But it looks like the stock market is finally rebounding after its correction, and it should do well. This is TSG. Again, breaking the line, green one on a daily. I think this is bullish, setting you up for another 9 count. I'd perhaps wait for tomorrow. I'd want to see confirmation. A higher, a higher open and higher high gets me into being a bull or whatever stock this is. I don't know what stock this is, but I'm still bearish and will remain to be so. Should probably close this. I don't remember what stock this is or what they do. But this is very bearish, very, very bearish. I'm very bearish this thing. I'm going to close it. How many tabs open anyway? Amazon, identical to Apple. You have a red one with a bullish candle on a weekly. Maybe wait till next week, but I bet you the daily looks beautiful. The daily is on a green 3 above a green 2, green 2 and above a green 1. That was a bullish entry. If you got scared, this is a bullish entry. You can go long on the bullish and you can double down that trade when the weekly goes bullish as well. Your stop loss is probably like, I don't know, below 1930 or whatever. AMD daily, I wouldn't touch it. I would wait for AMD to get a price flip to a red, then to back to a green, pick it up on a green 2 above a green 1. I would be a little cautious. AMD right here. It's still a little toppy. It's working off the weekly 9 condition. Some marijuana stock. I'm gonna close. Oh yeah, let me rename it. Rename. This is TLRY. Tilray. I'll just call it hemp. And I'd wait. I'm leaning bearish here. And I'm going to close it too. And AMD again. And Tesla. Still bullish though. All right, I'm going to close Tesla as well. All right, I am off to Amsterdam. I will... I'm going to get in late Friday night. I think I was supposed to speak at a meetup. I think I'm gonna maybe swing by the meetup. I'll try to swing by the meetup, but I can't promise. I get in kind of late. I got to check into my Airbnb. I'm already exhausted. Let's hope I don't oversleep my 4 p.m. flight tomorrow, because I need to get some rest for my 2-day workshop in Amsterdam. Bitcoin Wednesday. I'll definitely speak at Bitcoin Wednesday. Then Prague, we already talked about. Then Ukraine. And then Singapore in October, Singapore in November, late November, and a month in Australia in between. And don't forget to support this YouTube channel by checking out the affiliate codes. I'll be adding 3 more in the very near future. I have an idea of what they are. And also the Amazon shopping list. Go ahead and check that out as well. And feel free to click on any of these links before doing your own Amazon shopping to support this channel. All right, Leah, back to you. I think we got this done in an hour.
Nice. I don't know if it is back to me yet. I think you're still on your affiliate links. You look like a serial killer again.
I know. I've actually, like, before this podcast, I was on a 2-hour interview. And this morning I did an interview, and then I met some people for lunch. So the one day in Prague, I was actually going to do some work. Contrary to what people believe, I have actual work that needs to get done. And I had 2 days, the last 2 days, with no conference and not a lot of people around. And I got 0 things done. So I think I'm going to try to disconnect from all texts and all media today and half the day tomorrow before my flight, so I can actually get some work done.
So I didn't mean that you look tired. I mean that you are completely in the dark. You
Good,
can turn lights on.
Right, so people can't see how tired I'm actually am.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching. You can catch this later on Tone's podcast, and see you later.
Bye, guys. Well, you must be tired as well.
You're still live.